Today we have another episode of Kankan beefing with another rapper, or really just calling the whole next generation of underground rappers trash, clones, gay, anything derogatory. Okay, we get it. And while some of you may or may not agree, let's be honest, most of these rappers in this new generation are not gonna make it very far. I don't care what anybody says. Like, we got a couple, don't get me wrong, but like every single generation, like 95% of them do not make it. Look, the only one who made it out last time was like Yeet. So Fago was supposed to, he was supposed to be the prodigy, and then look at what happened there. Is there really anybody else? Osama Sun, Netspend, those are the only two really that made it out. Two Hollis, but that was a totally different generation. I don't know, just wait in a couple years, you'll see what it is. It seems every few months there's a new cycle of rappers, and then rinse and repeat, baby. The thing is, we get like survivorship bias in that the artists that do make it, we're like, yo, there's like so many good artists and blah, blah, blah. But then when you look back and actually see the names of like, I don't know, Yapo JJ or like Young Fazo, Slump Sixes, like no hate towards them, but like they never really got past the certain level of underground that everybody was portraying them to be. You know what I mean? But as I was saying, Kankan went on another rant, I guess. Sometimes he's with Summers and, you know, McDonald's gets their McFlurry order wrong, and so he just feels like he needs to go off in the meantime to get that dopamine fix. And so he said on his Instagram story, PSA, y'all are clones and suck, by the way. Y'all only buzzes from nostalgia addicted retard 10-year-olds who missed eras from OG artists and fake beef. And can y'all stop with the fake gang affiliations and put all the energy y'all putting into y'all clone image into the actual music? I close my eyes and listen to half of y'all shit and it's terrible. Facts. I think that most artists in the underground that everybody be hyping up, again, in 3 months, y'all are even gonna switch up on your favorite underground artists. Y'all just like them right now because nobody else really knows them. So you have this like, oh, like I was first. I listened to this artist first. I own y'all. Y'all suck. Meanwhile, you just admitted that you're homosexual, or said artist. And I do agree with the nostalgia thing. Like, people are trying to bring back this 2016 era when we had so many good artists that blew up, like Uzi, Cardi, Lil Yachty, etc. You know, all those artists in that era, Lil Skies. But there's never gonna be another era like that. I feel like the internet's just too distributed across different niches that there's not gonna be like a whole wave of artists that blow up to the same extent as them. SoundCloud and the internet, that was just like a new thing. So there was only kind of like one channel for everyone to go through. Nowadays, people blow up on TikTok and fall off the next week. So it's just hard to like actually congregate behind one movement of artists. And therefore, you know, like 16-year-olds, how long ago was 2016 from now? 2025. So that's 9 years. So 16-year-olds now who like hear Uzi and they're like, oh man, like they hear about everything we talk about where Uzi and Cardi and then blew up, and it was such a great time period because it was Juice WRLD, XXXTentacion. They want that for themselves too, and I get it, but that was 9 years ago. And so they try to get behind these new artists like Dior vs. You, 1300 Saint, Nine Vicious, Tana, all these people, and it's just not the same. They're not as good as Uzi, Cardi, Yachty, X, Juice. You don't see me complaining about how Playboi Carti isn't becoming the next Michael Jackson, you know? Although I grew up with Drake and Lil Wayne, who were huge, like the biggest artists in the world. So basically, I'm better than you. But in the next story, he says, I literally hate rappers so much I don't even want to rap because I feel associated with y'all, to be honest. I'm kind of split on this. I feel like part of it is like, is it worth it for him to go back to rap because now he's selling clothes and he's making decent money, if not really good money that way? And if he goes back to rapping, it is a very fickle industry where like people are listening to like 16-year-olds rap through their mom's vibrator and it sounds like dog shit. And so he's competing with literal dog shit. Meanwhile, because he was in a previous era and with how fast people recycle through artists and move on to the next one, is it really worth even trying to get back his rapper clout, especially with all of the rappers he used to be tight with, like Summers, and maybe he might be friends with them, but like Yeet and all of them, like they're already past their peaks too. So like, is it worth degrading the legacy he already has? Because Kankan is part of history now, at least in the underground rap space. Too many frogs mixed in with the real y'all in the way. Don't you hate frogs hopping around? And by the way, for all the people who are gonna get offended by this, there's a total difference between like a gay person and of course gay people might be offended by that word, but a loser. You know what I mean? It's like that South Park episode. The people who are super obnoxious about their motorcycles being super loud and just for no reason. That's a frog. But like a gay person can be totally cool. They might be the coolest people on the planet, but they're not a frog. You know what I mean? But then he might have dug himself in a deeper hole saying, hey, can we like try and blow up with our music and not wearing skirts and painting our nails for shock value? Or is that too crazy? Maybe I'm tripping. But I do agree with his point partially. In that, actually majority probably, because I do feel like a lot of people, like artists, they do dress and act feminine just because that's almost like a blueprint now from like Young Thug, Uzi, Cardi, Yachty with the painting nails. Like if you act that way, it is seen as a little odd or different, and therefore you will get more views just by acting that way. And so they use it as marketing. Shock value, kind of like how Kanye's tweeting out like swastikas and shit, although it's just like a different form of it. And so sometimes when it looks really forced, it's not cool, and it basically makes you blow up for the wrong reasons as opposed to the actual music. However, on the other hand, there are artists who dress that way, act that way, and they're actually cool. So Skywater got kind of offended by this and his tweet that I'm going to show you in a second. And yes, we do know Skywater to be, I don't even know, like bisexual or something, but he's actually, his music is good. And so people know him for his music more than what he acts like. And I feel like he's not too flamboyant with it, although not that I necessarily agree with it, but like it's not something I would wear. His clothes, he wears skirts and shit, but his music's still hard, so he gets a pass, you know? And lastly, he says, at least on his Instagram story, only white kids and whitewashed black kids with no dads think that shit cool, by the way. Imagine me letting my son see me twerking online with painted nails and edges in my hair. So clearly he's talking about 9 Vicious, because if you haven't already seen, I actually had a whole clip that kind of blew up yesterday or the day before where I was like, yo, 9 Vicious, you got edges. How are you sitting here talking about like you got ops and your producers can't fuck with them either, or else you won't work with them either? Like literally, you look like you shoved dildos in your ass. So stop acting all gangster, throwing up a YSL sign. Meanwhile, you got edges on your face. Young Thug never went that far. You could wear dresses and everything that's an outside garment, but once you get to doing your hair like that, like you're just asking for some dick. That being said though, I do feel like 9 Vicious, actually this is him. This is his persona, even outside of music, and his music is super hard. So I'll give him the pass too, like Skywater. I feel like Kankan's coming out of 9 Vicious because he's beefing with Dom Corleo over nothing, basically, just because Dom Corleo was defending Richie Souffle, who is a stamped producer from like Free Band, which is Future's clique, and then Cardi, obviously from Whole Lotta Red era. And it's like, why are you beefing with producers saying they can't work with your ops when like still you're a nobody, you know? It just doesn't make sense. You really think Richie Souffle is gonna stop working with who he wants to work with when he's already an established producer and has worked with all-time greats, and you're still an underground rapper? Come on. Let's think with our head, not with our edges though. Like take the edges out, maybe you'll think more clearly. And then shortly after, Kankan says on Twitter, any music wave after Ken or Osama literally sucks. All these new nail polish people suck. If we being for real, y'all just chasing nostalgia at this point like fucking crackheads, basically accepting anything at this point. I think what he means by nostalgia in this sense is 9 Vicious going after that Young Thug kind of era. When he first blew up, he was wearing that skirt, but also acting gangster. Maybe a little bit of Uzi, but I don't think Uzi went as far as Young Thug. And as I said before, Skywater got a little bit offended because, you know, he is probably the head of the nail polish rappers in the underground right now, although Skywater is written for like Lil Nas X, so depending on how you feel, he might not actually be underground, although him as a solo artist is underground if you ask me. But he says Kankan, broken heart, because they thought they were cool, I guess. But then Kuma posted a screenshot of what Kankan said in a DM group chat, I guess, on Twitter, saying, yeah, Skywater's fire. He's actually himself, which is what we were talking about before. Skywater gets the pass. He's hard. I'm not dressing like that, but hey, if you keep dropping bangers, I don't give a fuck what you do. It's like how Cardi and others beat women allegedly. It's like, bro, whatever you do in your personal life, I don't condone it, but like, hey, I'm listening to the music, you know what I mean? And with that, before I get canceled, I'll see y'all later. It's been your boy Bob. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, join the Discord, all that. I'm about to start pumping out videos like it's 1974 and I just snorted 3 grams of that Miami Rudolph the reindeer. Peace.